Hello, my name is Justin. I'm here to talk to you about supporting women's rights. I remember a while ago, a close friend told me an awful joke. Basically, we had heard a rumor that the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un had fallen ill and into a coma because he had fallen sick to COVID-19. If hypothetically he were to die, his sister would take place. And here's the joke, feminists around the world would celebrate, even though she supports the regime. I have made many horrible jokes throughout my life, and this is one that I regret laughing about. But overall, more attention needs to focus on what feminism really is. Now, I'm not an expert, nor will I ever experience the struggles isolated to women. However, I did do research on the internet, and I learned a lot about feminism in a West Valley College course some time ago. Criticism is welcome in the comments after you watch this speech. In this presentation, I will discuss the challenges to women's rights, how to support women's rights, and what you can do right now. So as I said earlier, there are many challenges to women's rights. Philosopher Amelia Valcarcel presented the collective memory of and challenges of feminism for the panel on equity and human rights in February 2000. She says the belief that women are inferior came from the ways that girls were raised and afterwards observed. Had society raised girls as independent, resourceful citizens, perhaps there would not be as much stigma from men not in power. Still, the men in power at the time would still reinforce these standards, and there was not much we could have done in the past to stop them before. Fast forward to International Women's Day in 2019, 11 lawmakers, journalists, and scholars made a list for Politico magazine of problems that women face today. This included not enough women in power, patriarchy, sexism, racism, economic obstacles, access to equal opportunity, navigating career with motherhood, maternal mortality, and misogynistic campaigns, and more. Here are 3 examples. US Senator Elizabeth Warren stated, quote, "Today a woman earns 80 cents for every dollar a man earns. And the pay gap is even worse for Black and Latino women." Keisha N. Blaine, history professor at the University of Pittsburgh, induces from a CNN list that the patriarchy of the United States has so far prevented women from becoming executive leaders, while 59 other countries have already beaten this milestone. Neera Tanden, president of the Center for American Progress, points to former Donald Trump's insults on the looks and intelligence of women as a reinforcement of normalizing misogyny. People as social creatures, dependent on hierarchy, do generally look towards authority as a role model. While I do not completely belong to this group of people, there is undeniably a great many who block the progress of women's rights because the authority says you can. Although the rights of women have advanced more than they have centuries prior, true equality has yet to be found. The statements of these female figures show us that we need to do more to equitably bring women to the same level of success as men. Just because the problem cannot be solved overnight does not mean we should ignore it. Can we really call the United States a champion of freedom when half of its population struggles with its own rights? Now that I've talked about the challenges of women's rights, I will propose a solution to combat these issues. To advocate for women's rights, it's not enough to call yourself a feminist. You must look, listen, and learn. The first step in solving any problem is knowing that it exists. We can read about it in a variety of articles. Written 3 years ago, 8 Ways You Can Be a Women's Rights Advocate Today and Every Day by unwomen.org has a decent list. Here are 3 examples. 1. Raise your voice. Jaha Dukere, founder of Safe Hands for Girls, raised her voice to end female genital mutilation and child marriage. Her contributions led to the Gambian government banning FGM. 2. Support one another. Aya Al-Wakil, lawyer for survivors of violence, has supported over 300 abused women in court since 2015. She now seeks the law to end honor killings, the ritual of killing women in the name of family honor in Gaza. 3. Get involved. Koumba Diaw understood that women's leadership ensures women's rights. She later became mayor in the Louga region of Senegal, raising awareness to women's issues in her community and establishing a weekly market for female vendors. We have heard phrases such as, "the problem won't fix itself," or "become the change you want to see in the world." These 3 examples are proof of the power of feminism. All examples in the unwomen.org article not only protested in some way, but put themselves in a position that allowed them to do good. Tukere founded an organization. Al-Wakil pursued law, and Diaw became mayor. None of these accomplishments are easy, but they come with meaningful impacts. So what kind of world do these impacts create? I'll give you a hint. A more mature, open-minded world awaits us if more of us embrace feminism. When half of us get the respect they deserve, we foster better understanding, cooperation, and prosperity. Minimize sexual harassment, less violence, fewer instances of discrimination. A maturing society lets us tackle other issues: racism, economic inequality, war, hunger, global warming, and more. One step at a time, ending the devaluing of others helps us evolve. Now we know what supporting feminism will do. And understandably, not everyone is as bold as those in the examples prior. But what can we do? Right now, everyone can pull out their phones and search up 2 things. Feminism is for Everyone by Bell Hooks and now.org. You can also use a laptop if that is what you are watching this through. Hooks' book can be bought on Amazon, but if you are stingy like me, you can get it for free on Z Library. All you need to know before reading this book is that feminism is, the words of Hooks, quote, "a movement to end sexism, sexist exploitation, and oppression," end quote. I highly recommend you read this book if you want to look, listen, and learn. Now.org is the website for the National Organization for Women. It is the oldest and largest American feminist organization, and their Get Involved section is a good place to start. You can choose an area of interest, i.e. ratifying the Equal Rights Amendment, or mobilizing for reproductive justice, and they will provide shortcuts to contact government officials to hear your demands. I leave it up to you whether you do 1 or 2 of these things. Nothing is wrong with taking baby steps towards a brighter future. So to recap, I went over problems exclusive to women, solutions to these problems, and what you, the audience, can do right now. Ultimately, raising our own awareness is essential to advocating women's rights to equal that of men's. Feminism is part of this answer. Reading about current events from credible sources bolsters this cause. Society has painted feminism in such a bad light that people who genuinely support women's rights refuse to label themselves as feminists. But feminism is the very thing that addresses problems exclusive to women. It's time to look past these negative associations. And if you do indeed support women's rights, congratulations, you are a feminist. Thank you.